Now I get to be quiet. I get to go off the screen and I'm going to bring forth cohort number 1. Michelle and Ashley, please come to the stage. So, Michelle and Ashley are about to take over. Literally. I am going to go off camera. I am going to mute myself, and they are now going to conduct an interview with all of you with a particular emphasis on Dr. Janet. Please come to the screen. And Miss Gloria, please come to the screen. And to our lovely audience, remember I said that this is interactive. I said that this is intergenerational. I said it's international. Now you get to see this intergenerational aspect play out in real time, not scripted. So, Michelle and Ashley, it's all yours.
Well, first, I would just like to say that I thought that that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. Thank you so much for sharing those love letters and for everything that everyone's been sharing. It's just, it warms my heart to just see this all coming together and this conversation about trees. Before I ask my first question, Michelle, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, just kind of echoing what you were saying. Also, excuse like my lighting, getting an awkward glare here. But it's always nice to hear just such an engaging conversation surrounding love, surrounding nature, surrounding wisdom. I know that it always fulfills me getting to be in this space and getting the opportunity to ask questions and really get into these kind of interviews. So again, thank you all for being here. And if Ashley, you want to go ahead with our first question.
Okay, so my first question that I have for Dr. Janet. So, when you were speaking about your work, absolutely beautiful, everything that you were saying, and it really, sorry, also, my voice does not usually sound like this, everyone. I've lost it this weekend. But um, you spoke about like hearing your father's voice as you experience these trees. What exactly do you think he would say to you in that moment and also just now in the work that you're doing?
Thank you for a great question. I think my father would say, keep going. Don't stop now. Age is only a number. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to, just find the strength within yourself, use nature, trees, whatever, just to get yourself motivated and stay in the game. It's not over until it's over. You can't quit now. And one of the things he always left me with was he said, people, when they get to the rough part, that's when they quit because they can't see over the horizon. He said, but just right over the horizon is the sunrise. And that's where the change really begins. If you can just stay in there for that next moment.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
will let Michelle lead into her next question, but I just wanted to say that really aligns so beautifully with all of the letters that they had written, especially when it comes to, your father telling you all these things about, it's not over till it's over, because that's really the truth.
Yes.
I love how that connects to nature as well because it's not over till it's over. You can
No,
always plant new things, you can always plant new seeds. So thank you
absolutely.
so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for my question also ties back to something else you said, Dr. Janet. When you were sitting outside in Sarasota and being surrounded by these trees, you kind of talked about feeling like your life was coming full circle at 71 and how it kind of felicitated this kind of rebirth or new growth. And I kind of feel like at my age of 22, I've already encountered like continuous lessons that I feel like I'm constantly having to learn and relearn. So I think for Dr. Janet and Miss Gloria, is there any lessons that you've encountered throughout your life that you feel like you're constantly having to learn and relearn as you grow in age?
Gloria, you want to go on that one?
I am. For me, it's it's learning people. Um, we think we know how to respond to people because of things that we've gone through, but that evolves because we meet new people, we have new situations, um, and just entering this platform and being able to communicate to people um, in London. It's just constantly learning how to communicate. Yeah.
I would follow up by saying that I think the thing that is most important is probably flexibility and reflexivity, where once you make up your mind there's something you want to do, that you give yourself permission, and with the strength of nature and the trees, your ancestors, and all that has come before you, you stand on their shoulders metaphysically, and you just say, I'm going through. And I know there's going to be bumps in the road. I know it's not always going to be pretty. At the end, there's not going to be any cute music playing that says, hey, you did it, you're a winner. Nobody's going to give you a prize or a gold cup or anything like that. But you're just going to stay in there because that's what you choose to do. And that self-satisfaction from knowing that you're supported by such legacy, the ancestral piece, the nature piece, all the pieces that truly make us who we are, that's your prize. That's it.
And thank you guys so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the next thing that I would like to go into a little bit is just, so we talk so much about how nature is a place of, comfort, shelter, growth. We talked a lot about how, we're planting these seeds, we're building our work. And something that really resonated with me when Gemini and Aaron were sharing their love letters was one of the lines that said, you are not just your work. And I imagine you guys have been putting in all the work and grinding and, constantly, working. And I just wanted to know, how do you both remind yourselves that you are not just your work? Like, are there people in your lives that you spend time with? Are there things that you use to like stay grounded? I'd love to know.
Well, I stay grounded by reaching out to other people, reaching out to young students, young scholars, anybody that can need a helping hand or an encouraging word. That's what I do. And I find that that helps me to stay completely grounded. I can't get into the ego that, hey, I finished mine, whatever it was, 20 something years ago, and so I'm done. So good luck to the rest of them. That my ego is just not that strong when it comes down to somebody saying, "Hey, doc, can you take a read on this or tell me what you think about this?" I'm first of all, I'm honored by that request because when you get to be a certain age, there comes with that a certain amount of invisibility, and which is more or less widely culturally accepted. Where when you get old, you're sort of shoved off into the corner and left to do whatever people in the corner do, which I'll never know because I won't be left in anybody's corner ever. Ever. So yeah, that's what keeps me grounded. And when the work gets to be too much, I've always surrounded myself with the wisdom of elders, starting with some of my early career days where I had wise elders that would say, uh, when they, it was almost like they knew I was having a bad day. And back then, of course, there were no cell phones; everything was a landline. And they call and say, "Well, hey, baby, you want to come by and maybe get a little lunch with me today? I know you got that big job you're doing, but maybe you can spare a few minutes." And of course, I love those moments. And so I'd have a meeting or something I need to do off site, and off I'd go. And one woman in particular even had a garage. Her name was Eula Cleveland, Anchorage, Alaska. Fabulous human being. She would leave her garage door open so I could drive my car in, and she would close the garage door. She go, well, the meeting's starting right now. Here's your plate, honey. Now take a load off, and we're gonna just sit here and not gonna think about that work thing, because remember, that's just how you make your money. That's not where you live. That's not who you are. That does not identify you or anything, and it certainly doesn't make you any less in the eyes of God. You just do what you need to do here and sit here. And those plates sustained a 21-year career for me in that place. They sustained me. Yeah, she absolutely sustained me totally. And at the time, I knew that she was sustaining me. Plus, she had great trees in her yard too. So I would go out and sit under the trees, and she'd say, "Baby, what you doing?" I say, "I'm sitting under the trees, Miss Eula, so I can revive myself." She said, "Well, I thought my greens had already done that." So it was always a big joke between me and her. But she was actually the bridge that got me over. And I think if there's anything that I can say moving forward to people is find bridges that will take you over, that don't have anything with your identity, whether it's self-constructed, world constructed, whatever. Find your people that will support you, no matter if you can write a dissertation or you can't read a whole book. That's those are your people, and surround yourself with them. Your great memories of how you got here to begin with, they're all joy, all peace, and certainly love. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I add any commentary on what you just said, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way, Miss Gloria, do you have anything that you would like to share as well?
For me, it's looking back at my parents, the way I was raised, and I can hear them still saying you can do whatever you want to do, even at my age. That does not stop. But it's also pouring into my branches, my children, my grandchildren, and looking and seeing the things that I've passed on to them that they will pass on to their children and grandchildren. So. Um, that's what keeps me grounded and it keeps me going.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I love how, for both of you, it kind of goes into an intergenerational, whether it was your previous mentors above you, or it's you pouring into those who are making their way and who are figuring out what they need to be doing. I think that's absolutely beautiful. And it really ties into also the fact that we're cohorts 1 and 2 here. It adds that level of mentorship, that level of intergenerational. So thank you so much, both of you, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for my next question, kind of tying in Aaron and Gemini's love letters, um, I think constantly thinking back to what would I tell a younger self, you know? And I'll open this question to the chat as well. But to Dr. Janet and Miss Gloria, what is a love phrase, a love statement, a love word that you would give to your 20-year-old self or your 30-year-old self?
Go ahead, Gloria. Gloria.
I'm gonna say be bold. Don't stand back and watch life go by. You can just be bold, just be in it. Don't be shy.
Okay, I love that one. But now my response to that was, for, especially for me, you know what I'm going to say, Glo. I got to keep it between the lines because I've always been way too bold, way too in it, and way over the top. So yeah, there's a balancing piece there. There actually absolutely is. And if I had to say anything to my younger self, it would be to learn the importance of balance. Absolutely, the importance of balance. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm really grateful every day. I survived the '70s, and you know what they say about that. If you can remember it, you weren't really there. So yeah, you just have to learn how to manage yourself. And I could have done a much better job of self management, which I didn't. So yeah, balance would be my thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely trying to learn a sort of balance as I'm like growing into adulthood. I've talked to Dr. Omni about this, but adulting, she's a different kind of beast. And I think trying to find a balance between professional life and then personal life, and still having time to be more than the work, and to breathe is an ongoing challenge. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And my last comment to that is try not to overthink it.
Thank you so much for sharing those. And also, as someone in their early 20s now, it's, you know, a lot of things that you have to be thinking about and have to be as an overthinking warrior myself. It is it is a lot. And thank you so much for sharing that with us because it's beautiful to see that you can be that way. You can overthink, you can, make those choices and figure out your choices and still end up in the places that you need to be. And you guys are living proof of that. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Another question that I have for both of you and that I would like to open up to the chat as well is how do you feel that you can bring like more nature into your space in like your everyday life? Is there something that you feel you can do or a little extra part of your day that you feel you can add on to bring more nature into your space?
I've learned to walk during my lunch breaks here, and it's not as much nature as it was in Sarasota, of course, but just being able to take those walks and um, look at nature around me, that helps a lot. But also, I've started getting more plants. Dr. Omni, um, she's inspired me just looking at all that she's grown. She's planted so many um, seeds physically as well. But I've gotten more plants here at work. I've gotten more plants at home. Um, so I bring the greenery in whenever I can.
Thank you. I'd really have to think about that one. I think my answer is similar to yours, Gloria. I would need to bring more greenery into my spaces. I do have a lot of greenery, like in the front of my house, but virtually none in the back. And that's not a good thing. So I need more balance there. And part of the reason why I probably don't have as many plants as I should is because I almost live in a nature preserve. My whole yard is surrounded by trees, and of course we're starting the growing season. We planted gardens and done all that stuff and all the flowers. So but yeah, I could do better there. I definitely could, and I have added walking to the list just because after a certain age, if you don't move it, you lose it. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for sharing those. And I love how you, Dr. Janet and Ms. Gloria, you guys talk about how, important it is to have that nature in your space, but, how it might, whether it's already there or whether you need to build upon your collection. As someone who got one of my first plants from Dr. Omni, I completely understand that seed planting of new growth there. And Dr. Jen, I love how you brought back in that level of balance because it shows that you really can be balanced in different ways throughout your
Mhm.
life. And
Exactly.
that's absolutely beautiful. I'll turn it back over to you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. And for my next question, this is usually Ashley's piece, but I'll bring in a little music aspect. Um, what song artist would you say defined a growing period in your life?
Hmm. The Isley Brothers. Thank God I finally outgrew that phase. My sister still says she's traumatized from listening to albums over and over again. I was a huge fan for years because I always felt like I wasn't making good decisions. And the Isley Brothers was the perfect soundtrack for my doubt, hesitation, and fear. And I have completely outgrown them now, thankfully.
Um, for me, I wouldn't say a specific artist, but a genre of jazz. When I just finally embraced being able to listen to the music, the sounds, the instruments without having to hear words,
Mhm.
that really, I knew I grew through um, and matured with the just music in general to be able to um, groove without having to sing along with all the words.
That part.
Yeah, I definitely resonate, Dr. Janet, with you saying the Isley Brothers, but not listening to them anymore.
Right.
Because there's always just this music that really does define a period of my life. I can't go back to it, but I'm
It,
glad that music was there for me when I
exactly. But
needed it.
it's done. It's over.
Yeah, it's done. She's in the past, but I'm glad you were
Exactly.
there when I needed it.
Right, right. And of course, right now, I think I'm defined more by, as Gloria said, I love smooth jazz, and I just don't need words anymore. I'm creating my own harmony, my own lyrics to these beautiful soundtracks.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank you.
sharing and
Thank you.
the eras that you guys have of music. That's amazing. And I also feel the same way, Michelle. It's like once it's over, it's just done. And you don't have to go back to it again.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, thank you. But before I ask my last question, I just wanted to refer over to the chat for a moment. I really think that those love is a statement, believe in yourself, you're powerful, and answer to my question of how do you feel you can bring more nature into your space? From Marie Claire, I co-founded a street tree planting charity, and now have 14 street trees on my street. I'm trying to get a 15th. That's absolutely amazing.
Mhm. It is.
Kind of the reason I wanted to also go into the chat is because that brings me into my last question for you both is so how do you feel that you can thank the earth around you for all that it's given you, all that it's pouring into you? How do you feel that you can be planting those seeds, and how do you feel you can just thank your trees?
Well, I think I would thank my trees by just being a good steward and being mindful of the space and honoring of the space, almost with a sort of reverence, if if that's possible, where you just you're celebrating having this space, and you have gratitude in the space, and you always remaining mindful that it didn't have to be this. It could have been something different. We could live in places where it's all concrete and we don't have the trees that we have that sustain us and inspire us. And so, a little thing that I kind of always do whenever I'm out and about, particularly if I'm in another state or whatever, I always find a place to take a selfie of me with a tree. And that's my way of just saying, I'm glad you're here. And I hope you stay for a long time. And I hope that the people that follow me in this space, that they feel the same sense of rejuvenation, a light and love that I always feel when I'm in nature. Thank you.
You,
I'd
Gloria.
say what I've gained being in nature. I want to bring my branches, my kids and grandkids, into that space more. Um, my son called me and he went on like a camping trip. And I was so amazed because I didn't know that he even wanted to do that or had the yearning to be in nature, but that did my heart good. And just to continue to, like I said, bring them more into nature. take more walks. Um, I think I'm going to give them each a plant from me and say, even if it dies, it came from me, and just nurture it the best way that you know how.
Good way. Good deal.
That's amazing. And I know they will, nurture it because once you're like given that plan, it's from
Hmm.
that person that, is planting that seed for you. It's really great when you get to see it grow. So thank you both so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then for my final question, um, bringing it back to, I believe, Carla, who was talking about experiencing the four seasons for the first time. Last year, I moved from Florida to DC, and I too got to see all four seasons for the first time. It was my first time seeing snow. And I don't think you really notice how much of an effect that the seasons have on you until it's dead winter. Everything is cold and gloomy outside.
Mhm.
And then you finally come around to spring and you see finally feel the sun on your face, the flowers are blooming. So for my final question to both Dr. Jen and Miss Gloria, what season would you say that you're in right now?
Mhm. I'd say that I'm probably in spring most of the time in terms of my life. That spring is totally my vibe, for lack of a better word there. I always feel like there's something new, there's something blooming, there's action, there's light, there's wisdom, love. Spring is definitely my season, and I hang on to that. And of course, now that I live in Michigan, which does definitely have all four seasons, including some tornadoes periodically, I find spring to be sort of a maintenance thing for me. Because if I'm in spring when I've got like 5 inches of snow that suddenly appeared overnight like by magic, then in the wintertime, it doesn't dampen my spirit or take away my joy because I'm still carrying the beauty of spring and all that it means with me.
I'm going to also say spring. And when you start to really notice the different shades of the trees and flowers, and when they start to like really bloom a lot, I'm in the season of blooming. Um, of just starting to do things that I hadn't done in a long time, just to be in places that I haven't been in a long time. And I would say that I am definitely starting to bloom, even at my age.
And thank you guys so much for that. I think I'm similarly in a season of I want to say I'm approaching more summer now. I feel like I had my period of where I was blooming, like you were saying, doing the maintenance, recovering from a long winter. But now I'm enjoying the sun, enjoying being outside, being surrounded by warmth. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Let's clap it up, y'all, for everyone, Dr. Janet, Miss Gloria, Michelle, and Ashley. Let's clap it up.
Thank you.
Y'all hear me say it. The team, y'all hear me say it. But I'm sitting back here like a proud auntie. Witnessing all of this unfold from the very organic interviews to the love letters to the behind the scenes, Jovan giving us this energy of the readings, and of course, our elders in residence. I am a proud auntie right now. Thank y'all so very much. So we are with you for another 15 minutes, and we are going to, in the theme of things, we're going to plant some seeds. But before we plant some seeds, Jovan, is there anything we need to talk about in the chat? Because I'm about to ask them a question.
I believe we were okay. We were going through some of these comments about believing yourself, you are powerful, and also about the trees. So I think we're ready to move on to the next ones.
All right, thank you.